strong growth across traditional and AI servers, and the mix of our AI-optimized server demand grew sequentially again. Storage revenue was down 5% at $4 billion. We were pleased to see double-digit demand growth across our core storage portfolio, including PowerMax, PowerScale, PowerStore, and PowerProtect data domains. This strong storage performance was offset by headwinds in the portability portion of our API portfolio. ISG operating income was up 22% to $1.3 billion, due in large part to AI-optimized server revenue growth and associated gross margin dollars. Our ISG operating income was up 300 basis points
아버지,
sequentially to
소자가
11%
생신 선물로 그림 한 포.
This rate improvement
이 배가 더 크니까 너가 이거 먹어.
아버지, 저도 개업 축하드립니다.
We're pleased with the sequential improvement in storage profitability. We gained scale with 6% sequential revenue growth. We were more disciplined in our pricing. We had a higher mix of Dell IP storage solutions and a better geographic mix with more North America activity.
명주실로 명주 이불을 만들 수 있죠. 제가 그대와 여생을 함께 할게요.
Continue to improve in the second half of the year. In CSG, revenue was down 4% to $12.4 billion. Commercial revenue was flat at $10.6 billion, while consumer revenue was down 22% to $1.9 billion. CSG operating income was $767 million, or 6.2% of revenue, due to a more competitive pricing environment. We expect growth in the second half of the year, particularly in the fourth quarter. The coming PC refresh cycle and the longer-term impact of AI will create tailwinds for the PC market. Dell Financial Services originations were up 5% to $2.4 billion in Q2. Strength in both client and ISG financing offset the exit from our VMware resale business and the sale of our consumer revolving portfolio in Q3 of last year. Normalizing for these two impacts, DFS originations were up more than 30%, proof of increasing interest in our customer payment solutions. Now, let's move to cash flow in the balance sheet. Q2 cash flow from operations was $1.3 billion. This was primarily driven by sequential revenue growth and profitability, offset partially by working capital. Our cash conversion cycle was negative 43 days, up 4 days sequentially, driven primarily by the increase in our AI server business and AI order linearity. We ended the quarter with $6 billion in cash and investments, down $1.3 billion sequentially. This is the result of capital returns of $1 billion and net debt paydown of $1 billion during the quarter. We repurchased 5.5 million shares of stock at an average price of $130.03 and paid a 45-cent per share dividend. Since our capital return program began at the beginning of FY23, we've returned $9 billion to shareholders through stock repurchases and dividends. With our additional debt reduction and increased profitability this quarter, our core leverage ratio was 1.4x. Turning to guidance, indicators continue to point towards growth in the second half of the year. Against that backdrop, we expect Dell Technologies FY25 revenue to be in the range of $95.5 to $98.5 billion, with a midpoint of $97 billion, or 10% growth. We expect ISG revenue to grow roughly 30%, driven primarily by AI and ongoing momentum in our traditional server business. We expect CSG revenue to be flat to low single digits. We expect the combined ISG and CSG business to grow 13% at the midpoint. We expect our gross margin rate to decline roughly 180 basis points due to inflationary input costs, the competitive environment, and a higher mix of AI-optimized servers. We will continue to drive efficiencies in the business and expect operating expense to be down low single digits for the year. We expect both ISG and
바둑 한
CSG
판 둘래?
operating margin rate to be
아니면
within
더
our
재밌는 거
long-term
할래?
financial framework for the full year, 11 to 14% and 5 to 7% respectively. We expect interest and other to be roughly $1.4 billion, and an annual non-GAAP tax rate of 18%. Diluted non-GAAP EPS is expected to be $7.80 plus or minus 25 cents, and up 9% at the midpoint. For Q3 of fiscal 25, we expect revenue to be in the range of $24 and $25 billion, with a midpoint of $24.5 billion, up 10%.
내년 사자춤 대회에서는 1등을 해야겠슈.
아따, 천하에 내가 못하는 누가 선배 출신은 대장부가 아니라 했는가.
We anticipate operating expenses to be down low single digits sequentially. Our operating income rate is expected to improve as we continue to drive profitability in ISG. Q3 diluted share count should be between 714 and 718 million shares. Diluted non-GAAP EPS is expected to be To close this out, I'll echo what Jeff said. We are very optimistic about FY25 and beyond. AI and the coming IT hardware refresh cycle will be tailwinds for our business, and no one in the industry is better positioned than us. We are applying artificial intelligence and beginning to realize the benefits across our own business. We're using it to improve customer and team member experiences in sales, software development, services, content management, and our supply chain. And in turn, we're using our experiences to help our customers realize benefits of
들이
AI.
AI에 대한 효과를 확인했다라고 하면서 AI에 대한 필요성을 엄청 강조하네요. AI에 대한 효과성을 강조하고 있네요.
For those who may not know, Rob began his career at Dell in 1992 in corporate treasury while attending graduate school. He's held many roles since then and has seen Dell continue to transform and grow over the last 3 decades. This will be Rob's final earnings cycle. We wanted to personally share the news with you all today. Paul Trump will lead IR going forward. Paul is a longtime finance leader at Dell and a familiar name to many of you. Paul and Rob have been working closely over the last few years to ensure a smooth transition. Rob, I'd like to thank you for all you've contributed to Dell's success over so many years. You will be greatly missed. I'll save my extended thank you and goodbyes for later. For now, I'd like to turn it back over to Rob for Q&A.
Thanks, Yvonne, and thanks for those kind words, and congrats to Paul. Let's get to Q&A. We ask that each participant ask one question to allow us to get to as many of you as possible. Let's go to the first question.
ISP margin still step up from 8% in Q1 to 11% in quarter, despite the 82% sequential growth you had in server. Can you just talk about what the years on the AI server side are struggling with the margin right now? So I'd love to understand kind of what's the limit of margin expansion, and then critically, as you think about the target for the full year, what are the inputs that building blocks to get there?
Thanks, Amit. I will get started on that one. So we were very pleased with the operating income rate we saw in the second quarter, the 11%, up 300 basis points quarter over quarter. That was really driven by improvement across the entire portfolio. The first revenue was up quarter over quarter 26%, which helped drive scale within the P&L. And as expected, the headwinds we saw in Q1 did not persist into Q2. In storage, we had scale. We're price disciplined. We mixed more towards our own Dell IP storage offerings, which was very helpful, and saw strength in North America. In the traditional server space, the demand environment continued to improve. Although, we're still seeing some competitive pressures. And in AI servers, we had strong shipments with improved profitability and growing enterprise customers in that portfolio mix. I'd say we do expect ISG operating income to finish FY25 within our long-term framework of 11 to 14%. and do expect as we move through the second half of the year that we'll continue to see that as we mix more towards our storage portfolio as we do each year.
Yeah, Amit, maybe two additional data points that I think are worth noting in the improvement. One, as Yvonne said, our Dell IP core storage. On a demand basis, it was up double digits. We improved the margins in each of our categories, PowerMax, PowerStore, our PowerScale, and PowerProtect data protection quarter over quarter through the price discipline that Yvonne mentioned. And the second one, which I think is very important, we improved margins of our AI portfolio. And we did that with the same sort of price discipline, but more importantly, the engineering value add and the technical value add that we're bringing to our customers, and the expansion from beyond the specific node to the rack level deployment. So our ability to add L11, L12 capabilities, expert deployment, system validation and testing, the ability to help engineer the solution at our customer site, the extension into networking, the ability to cable these things up and deploy them at scale. That is allowing us to extract additional value in our AI deployments.
All right. Hey, thanks for the question on it. Let's go to the next question.
And our next question comes from Ben Ryder with Melius Research.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, how you doing? And congrats, Rob. I'm just trying to reconcile, your guidance, Yvonne, and then I have a follow-up. It looks like it's more 4Q loaded than what the street was thinking, and there was some talk of layoffs, into the print here, and I was just wondering if you could reconcile that for us. The $2, and it looks like maybe the street has to raise 4Q to be where they were, and I was wondering if that has to do with timing of savings. And I was wondering also if you could quantify the savings, what the 328 kind of equates to in savings, and how we should think about that. And then, Jeff, if you don't mind, if you could just mention how the AI server margins are progressing and what we should think about with the flat backlog Q to Q. I know you had great sales, but
검은 머리 팥불이 될 때까지 사랑하시겠습니까?
But since I congratulated Rob, maybe you'll give me a pass and answer them all. Thanks.
나무의 가지가 돋아나듯 그대를 향한 마음은 커져가는데 제 마음을 몰라주시네요.
No, we'll see if we can get through at least the first part of those questions, Ben.
All right. So for
나무의 가지가 돋아나듯 그대를 향한 마음은
we're talking
제
about
마음을
CSG and ISG
몰라주시네요.
combined are going to grow at 14%, right? Total revenue at the midpoint of $24.5 billion, so up 10% year over year. So 14 for CSG, ISG, 10 in total. ISG up 30% year over year. So very, very impressive continued performance there, driven primarily by AI servers as well as continued momentum in traditional servers. So we're expecting to see that. CSG, we're expecting to be flat to up, low single digits in the third quarter. Expecting gross margin rates to be up slightly quarter over quarter.
나무의 가지가 돋아나듯
I'd say
그대를 향한
remember that
마음은
we're
커져가는데
expecting
제 마음을
inflationary
몰라주시네요.
environment in the third quarter, in the second half actually,
나무의
holistically,
가지가 돋아나듯
as well as a
그대를
continued
향한 마음은
competitive
커져가는데
environment.
제 마음을 몰라주시네요.
Which I think you have a somewhat a question on. We've already guided to that OPEX holistically, and that will be down. We did that last quarter, so we're expecting that to be down about 2% quarter over quarter. And then from an OPEX standpoint, expecting continued improvement there, driven by ISG and storage and traditional server mix, as well as performing within our long-term framework holistically. I don't know if there's anything to add on the third quarter as we go into the full year. So I think your question on are we weighting more towards the fourth quarter than the third quarter? We're sequentially higher in the fourth quarter from a historical perspective and expect to continue that tradition. We are expecting a CSG recovery to begin in the second half, more weighted towards the fourth quarter, and then you'd also have your natural largest quarter from a storage perspective.
백성을 위해서라면 뭐든 할 수 있습니다.
That would be reflected both the momentum in CSG as well as storage momentum in the profitability and performance in that period.
And then on the two AI questions, the AI server margins, I'll start there summarizing what we discussed with Ahmed is margins were up sequentially. We were able to extract value out of our office. We were able to extract the value out of our AI office by expanding our value proposition to our customers beyond the box to the rack level. So our ability to sell services around the box, the ability to sell networking and network integration, the ability to sell what we call L11 and L12 capabilities, which think of it as factory integration, solution testing, and on-site deployment. The ability to configure at scale for our largest customers is allowing us to extract differentiated value our competition, and we're going to continue to focus on that and continue to find more ways to help our customers deploy AI at scale. In terms of the backlog, I mean, the first thing I would point to is shipments nearly doubled quarter over quarter, and I think that's an important thing to think through. For us, over the last 12 months, we've shipped $6.5 billion in AI and a demand line is just under $9.5 billion. What you're seeing is improved supply. Still working with customers on the delivery date, still working with customers on their ability to accept the equipment and integrate it into the data centers. I'm not worried about the backlog as well. I think we've made reference before of our five-quarter pipeline. Our five-quarter pipeline remains healthy. I think I made reference that it's several multiples of our backlog. We have visibility to a pretty significant pipeline, and it's our job to convert that over the coming quarters.
All right. Thanks. Hey, thanks, Ben. Clearly exciting opportunity for us. All right, next question.
Great, guys. Thanks so much for taking my question. And Rob, let's just echo what everyone is saying. You'll be missed. Thanks for all your help over the years. Jeff, I appreciate all the detail that you've provided in your prepared remarks on the makeup of your AI-optimized server customer base, increasing number of enterprises, expanding pipeline, and Tier 2 CSPs in enterprise. Is there any way you can just maybe expand on those comments a bit? And what I'm really trying to get a better understanding on is just that the concentration of spending within your backlog, within your pipeline for AI-optimized servers, and how that's changing for you. Thanks so much.
Sure. Where do I start? Obviously, the pipeline I talked about is growing at the size of multiples of our backlog. The proposition of that is continuing to see the number of enterprise customers grow and the amount of revenue in that which to me is encouraging and signals customers, enterprise customers specifically, are moving from experimenting to now piloting the technology to do a vast number of things, some of the use cases that Yvonne mentioned earlier. So we're encouraged by the number of enterprise customers growing quarter over quarter. We're encouraged by the number of enterprise customers in our pipeline and the revenue that represents. Clearly, some of these large deployments, training foundational models are still a large percentage of the backlog, a large percentage of the pipeline. And I think that's just the scale that we are seeing the continued growth of enterprise, which again I think is very, very encouraging, whether that be sciences, higher education, financial services, some of the national labs, etc. We're seeing expansion across the enterprise. When I look at the composition of the backlog and technology, it ranges from parts that are available today to parts that are available in the future and everything in between. Our backlog represents things that we can ship in Q3, things that we can ship in Q4 into next year, and obviously a 5-quarter
나무의
pipeline
가지가
represents the same
돋아나듯
thing, which extends
그대를
into
향한
next
마음은
year.
커져가는데
Eric, was that enough
제
color?
마음을
Was that
몰라주시네요.
helpful?
Yeah, nope, that's perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for the detail.
나무의 가지가 돋아나듯 그대를 향한 마음은 커져가는데 제 마음을 몰라주시네요.
Yes, thank you. And Rob, congratulations on your retirement. Thank you. I just wanted to, I have one confirmation and a question. In terms of improving profitability in AI servers, is gross profit, AI server gross profit in AI servers, or just operating profit dollars? Clearly,
The short answer to that is both improved.
And then I was hoping maybe you could just provide a little more color on the storage dynamics. You talked about Dell IP businesses growing double digits, and yet the storage business is down 5% year over year. So maybe you could help to mention what else is in that equation. Just that hyperconverged is more of a part of your business. Down by 8%, or some other piece that we need to be able to make this number hold together. Thank you.
Sure, Ron and I will try to tag team this. I'll start with, as I mentioned previously, look at our Dell portfolio and the success we had in Q2. It was good to see. We had double-digit growth as we referenced across the high-end products, the middle-end products, and structured products, and data protection. Those products were in contribution over the years significantly greater than the partner IP references that Yvonne mentioned earlier. So when those businesses are growing, and I think I've just mentioned in the previous questions, and their margin rates improve with better price discipline in the quarter, we got a little leverage from Dell's growth, as well as improvement in the gross margins, which will also make its way to operating margins. And that was significant. It was driven by some mix of geography in North America that Yvonne mentioned earlier, but primarily driven by the core products themselves. And then obviously your conclusion is correct. The partner IP business was down quarter over quarter. That's less profitable for us. And the mix shifted increasingly more towards our Dell IP products.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I just, so the double-digit growth was sequential.
나무의
growth
가지가
in the,
돋아나듯 그대를 향한 마음은 커져가는데 제 마음을 몰라주시네요.
The double
ISG revenue growth was up 26% quarter over quarter.
So the storage growth was
the Dell
that
Core
up?
IP.
Yeah, that was year over year, Tony. The core comment about double-digit growth was up year over year.
Right.
Correct.
So, but the whole
But yeah,
storage
I mean,
business
if you
was
kinda-
down
if you kinda run
5%
the
year over
numbers-
year. So
Yeah, so you got a decline in converged and hyper-converged infrastructure, and it is, we haven't broken it out specifically, but it is obviously a large part of the business, and data protection may be the other part, other area where there's a decline year over year. So those two offset the increase in the other four businesses.
Great. If I could just, talk a little bit about CSG. And Rob, thank you for all the help and support over the last 2 years. On CSG, if I may, you sound very optimistic about growth here in the fourth quarter. Maybe if you could just double click on that a little bit and give us some guidance on what you're seeing in the pipeline or the demand indicators that that gives you confidence in that growth as we enter
I'll take a run at it, and then Yvonne can help come over the top. I mean, we remain optimistic about the refresh. I mean, I think it's reflected in our guidance that we think the refresh is shifting more towards the end of the year than we thought maybe at the middle of the year. I know all of you have done your supply-based analysis, so we're going to take the same thing, that refresh is heading towards end of 24, end of 25. So what's important about that is as the refresh takes longer to start, history suggests it snaps back faster because the Windows 10 end of life date is not moving. So we have a Windows 10 end of life date. We have an aging install base of machines bought during the COVID era, all mounting to be refreshed with exciting new products built around AI. And more AI applications are coming, and we remain optimistic about that recovery. Calling the timing has been difficult, but the end of life around the corner or a quarter closer, the install base is bigger and older. Exciting new products are coming. Applications to help productivity with end users is around the corner. And if you think about the extension of AI out to the edge and inferencing, and what inferencing will be done on the edge,
뭐든 할 수 있습니다.
성에 제가 모르는 소식은 없지요.
이래 큰 진주 보신 적 있으십니까?
Small language models with larger memory footprints on the edge on your PC.
뭐요? 맛있는 거 했나 봐요?
이거
다 팔아서 색시 얻어야겠슈.
That's all in front of us. So we remain very optimistic about that. Clearly from our performance, you can see that we had called a recovery a little earlier, and we're calling today it's a little further out.
이래 큰 진주 보신 적 있으십니까?
뭐요? 맛있는 거 했나 봐요?
이래 큰 진주 보신 적 있으십니까?
뭐요? 맛있는 거 했나 봐요?
나무에 가지가 돋아나듯 그대를 향한 마음은 커져가는데 제 마음을 몰라주시네요.
Maybe in order that at least I think about this. First of all, we still believe we're in the very, very early innings in deployment in enterprise. And we know that as we've surveyed thousands of our enterprise customers. And we have a pretty good understanding of where they are in their AI journey. And if you think of this as in stages, they are truly in what we call stage 0 and 1, trying to determine what they're going to do, what their strategy is. And a large percentage of our customers are
자자자, 한잔하시죠.
and I think we have a
이리
pretty
오시죠.
good
2층에 한
pretty
분.
good understanding of that, given our broad market coverage with the largest sales force in technology, reaching down into small businesses and everything up to large multinationals. We have a pretty good pulse of where enterprises, business, commercial customers are in that journey, and that gets us really excited that they all see the opportunity.
자자자,
Many are
연지 연분,
moving
잘
to
닦게.
piloting the technology so they can actually take advantage of the opportunities to drive productivity or an advantage with customers or customer service or what have you. And in doing so, it really brings us tremendous opportunity. We've built professional services to help customers do exactly the 4 things they need to make progress here. Build a strategy, help them implement it, ultimately think about how they deploy the model and then adopt it and scale it to get the advantages of it. We've built services around that. We continue to scale that capability. And then because these are very complex systems, the ability to engineer and to help our customers integrate these. You just can't put this into a data center. There has to be space. It requires power. In many cases, it requires new forms of cooling. The network interconnect is very complex. The storage subsystems have to be high-speed systems three-tier architecture systems with the flexibility and efficiency and scale to really run at high performance. That's kind of what we do. We get excited about that opportunity and to help customers really extend from a strategy to implementation to be able to run these at scale, to take advantage of this enormous capability is exciting. And then if you think about the use cases are generally around large language models. Small language models are coming. We're already talking about technologies like agents and agentic buzzword of our industry today, and we've just scratched the surface of how agents are going to help each individual's productivity, help with specific skills, which provide an opportunity to take the millions of processes that are in business today.
한잔하시죠.
That's what's in front of us.
이리 오시죠. 2층에 한
The
분.
last several calls, and we'll say this call again, the margin selling to enterprise is better than the margin selling to our largest customers. And that's the value we continue to provide and will continue to build upon. I think I made reference to this as well. I think this is a very important thing. We've tuned our go-to-market model where we have a dedicated pursuits team for the largest CSPs, and we have a overlay specialty organization that covers our largest enterprise customers down to many thousands of them with AI specialized skills and then the engineering capability behind it to help the sales force win each and every engagement. I know that was a lot. I think I covered the questions.
All right. Thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Dominic. Appreciate it.
And we'll move to our next question from Michael Ink, Goldman Sachs.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for the question, and I also wanted to extend my congratulations to Rob. I just have two questions, if I could. First, for Yvonne, I wanted to ask about the low 30% ISG revenue guidance for the upcoming quarter, which implies ISG revenue is down sequentially. Could you just talk a little bit more on the drivers of that? What are you assuming for AI servers to happen quarter on quarter in terms of revenue? And then second, for Jeff, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the partnerships announced in the last couple of months, the new Nutanix hyperconverged partnership.
속보습 100시간 장수진 수분크림 수부지 올영에서 만나요.